What's up everyone? Welcome back to my show. My name is Asia, coming back at you with another video. Today, we're talking about Queen and Slim. Queen and Slim? 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 Okay, that was embarrassing. Besides all 4,768 versions of me being excited about this topic, this is actually a very controversial film, which is exactly why I'm talking about today. That and the fact that, you know, I'm a little bit of a troublemaker. You know. Grr. Queen and Slim was arguably one of the most controversial films of 2019. There was a stir of conversations happening across social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, critics, celebrities, everyday working people were all joining in on the conversation. From what I found, either they loved it or they hated it. And guess what? I'm here to say that I loved it. I stand with Queen and Slim. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if the majority of you watching this movie hated it. Either you hated it or you're wondering why we're still talking about it. For one, we're still talking about it because I definitely should have made this video a long time ago and I didn't, so here we go. And two, for those of you who hated it, I can't change your mind, but I can give you something to think about. I'm gonna touch on three things to make my case. One, I'm gonna give a summary of the film, which means there will be spoilers. So if you don't mind, please proceed. Two, I'm gonna list and explain some more commonly addressed negative criticism that the film received. And three, I'm gonna list and explain some of the praise the film received, my favorite part. All ending with my golden ticket of explaining why I stand with Queen and Slim. Please note that the praise and criticism was not quoted verbatim, it's a summary. So, here goes. Queen and Slim is a movie about a black woman named Angela, aka Queen, aka the baddest of the bad, and a black man named Ernest, aka Slim, aka Wakanda Forever. Get it? Because it's Daniel Kaluuya and he's in Black Panther. Okay, this is kind of bad. We're moving on now. Queen and Slim takes place in the southern United States where Ernest and Angela meet on Tinder and they go out on a date that takes a turn for the worst. They get pulled over by the police and what appears to be a routine traffic stop turns into an altercation where the cop ends up dead, shot by Slim, our black male. Dang, like, dang. And so they end up on the run from the cops, but it's a whole journey. The shooting takes place in like the first 15 minutes and then they're outlaws for the rest of the movie. Along the way, an array of characters, including black stereotypes, pop up in the story who either support them or don't. For instance, they head to Queen's uncle's place, Uncle Earl. They head to his place for reinforcements and he is literally a sugar daddy in New Orleans, which is not a stereotype at all. What? All right, maybe just a little bit. Somewhere along the way, they find out they are criminals and have to escape to Cuba to avoid persecution and be free. But a lot happens on the run. There's a riot, a black cop is shot and killed, there's a hot and heavy sex scene, they run into another cop who sees them but lets them go, so much more. In the end, sadly, they don't make it, but honestly, I hope everyone saw this coming. It only happened and Set It Off and every other outlaw movie ever made. They don't make it. They do this, I don't know why, and it's really sad. However, a black man turns them in. His character is a stereotype. He has gold teeth, cornrows that needed to be redone a month ago. He has gold chains. He has a lowrider. He's single. He doesn't have a place conducive for raising a family or barely put together enough to have a female friend visit. Honestly, we don't know anything about the guy. As far as I was concerned, he was just another character doing his thing until we see that he's in it for the mighty dollar because he turns them in. And yes, that's because there was a bounty eventually placed on their heads, similar to the way slaves had bounties placed on their heads when they were running from captivity. Okay, this has become a tangent now. Anyways, that's the summary of the movie, and moving on. Queen and Slim got a lot of backlash from the digital world. Issues with the movies included a few things. One of them, problematic depictions of black people, which includes what I was saying earlier about Uncle Earl and the black man who turned them in. Actually, I don't even think he had I don't even think he had a name. Anyway, problematic depictions. I mean, why Uncle Earl gotta be a sugar daddy though? Hey, no judgment, but why couldn't he just be a man living with his wife or companion in New Orleans? He had to be a sugar daddy, or at least that's how I perceived him. But honestly, this issue of problematic depictions of black people breaks my heart because the movie was made by black people. But hey, every visionary will have a vision and it won't always be received the way it was intended. Another pain point is how a lot of people think the film was trying too hard and has a messy plot. This refers to the scenes where Ernest and Angela, you know, indulge in life a little bit, believing that there's a chance they might get caught. In one scene, they pull over so Ernest can ride a horse for the first time. They actually did this. And in another, they take turns driving up and down the highway so each one can hang out the side of the car while it's in motion. They actually did this. In the words of one of my fellow coworkers, they can do one, but they can't do both. Oh, that's big. Oh, boom. Her point is that they're on the run from the federal government. In real time, this would not happen. They would get caught, and I can't disagree. It's a little extra. Queen and Slim was also accused of being one long music video. People, okay. I feel like it's because of the artsy feel of the movie and the fact that Melina Matsoukas, the director, also directed Beyonce's Lemonade. Hey, if you don't like Melina's vision, I can't help you. Last critique was the issue of the film being vulgar and insensitive. This can be said about a lot of scenes in the movie, but I think the two that really spoke to this were definitely the sex scene and the end where Angela and Ernest were violently gunned down. I admit, the sex scene was very direct, very in your face, you know, like bah, bah, bah. And that's offensive to some people. As for the ending of the movie, many people didn't like the imagery of black bodies being gunned down, and I agree. It was hard to watch. We shouldn't have to watch it. It's something that shouldn't even be happening in real life. Trayvon Martin, Tamir Rice, Walter Scott. It's insensitive to the people who are living these tragedies, and it's insensitive to the black community. And for the praise Queen and Slim received. My favorite part. So out of all the reasons people loved Queen and Slim, I was able to boil it down to two categories. They are the visual elements and the story. Visual elements meaning all the technical stuff, the cinematography, the lighting, the framing, the color, the stylistic and artistic decisions made by the director. It just gave it such a unique style, and combined with the story, it made it such a beautiful movie. The film has stunning shots that literally look like art you can just hang up and put in your house. So for all of you who are still not convinced, let's go through the movie's praise that fall under these two categories. Number one, it evoked emotion. People left the theater feeling some type of way. For me, it was moving. It made me cry. It made me laugh. It made me think about the injustices happening to black and brown people today. It was complex. It was intimate but urgent and beautiful all at the same time. Number two, it was artsy, but it wasn't too much where we were far removed from the story. Like, there weren't any moments in the movie where I was pulled out of it like, ugh, this is weird. It was the perfect blend of art and a good story. I loved how even though this movie was a protest piece, it wasn't about the protest. The movie is about Angela and Ernest going through this crazy ordeal and trying to escape. We didn't really find out what was happening in the world around them until they found out. Yes, it was a black struggle, but it was just as much about their relationship. Speaking of their relationship, one scene I really loved was the sex scene. Melina Matsoukas and Lena Waithe could have just wrote a sex scene, but they decided to interstitch it with a protest. Visually, it was really cool, and symbolically, it fell in line with the story. It shows them in their moment, disconnected from reality, and at the same time, the impact their situation is having on people. And lastly, I give this movie some special points for its realistic depiction of police brutality. I know that a lot of people were turned off by how the movie ended with Ernest and Angela getting gunned down. Yes, I still agree. We shouldn't have to watch that. However, I really appreciate the honest portrayal of what police brutality looks like. And this specifically speaks to the scene at the beginning when they were pulled over by the cop and it ended with the cop dying. For those of you who don't know what it looks like, who don't believe it exists, there you go. Sometimes it takes storytelling to help people understand different perspectives and change hearts and minds. Boom. So the point I'm trying to make is I'm I'm sorry, y'all, I'm done. The point I'm trying to make is this movie is about more than what people liked and disliked. The controversy speaks to the acceptance of Black films in America. Queen and Slim is a great movie. It was artistic enough to be accepted in Oscar conversations, but still down to earth enough to capture a large audience. It's a quality movie, yet because it's a Black movie, it can't just be great. It has to be excellent. It's excellence or nothing to be accepted in predominantly white spaces. In my opinion, it speaks truth to what's going on in society, and yet it was silenced. Hence the lack of Oscar nominations. But at the end of the day, it's a movie we can add to the Black filmography of critically acclaimed Black cinema. Even though really everyone has mixed feelings about the film, we can still look at it and say, hey, this is a start, but how do we make it better? How do we make it less insensitive, less a Black struggle, and still make it speak to the injustices happening in our society? We're not yet in Oz, but at least we're on the yellow brick road. That was really bad. Ignore me, I'm just kind of corny sometimes. It's not all about what the movie is and isn't, it's about what it means in the grand scheme of Black cinema. Besides, any movie that causes this much conversation is definitely worth seeing.
You know you that bitch when you cause all this conversation. Always stay gracious, best revenge is your paper.
So, to answer your question of why I stand with Queen and Slim, it's because I loved it. I love it for its artistic value and for its storytelling. In many ways, it was problematic, but I appreciate it for adding to the Black filmography, for creating conversations for us to talk about what's happening in our society today, and for creating space for us to build on it and make better movies. And that's it. Thank you so much for watching. I know it was heavy subject matter, but I hope I was able to make it a little bit fun. If you liked it, don't forget to subscribe. Come back and visit me and my channel. My name is Asia and you're watching Asia Spelled Backwards.